All right, here we go. We're sitting in Defiance, Ohio. The brand new coach
Yes, sir.
of the Defiance program here, Jake Henderson,
Yeah.
just took over. When did you start? May?
May 3rd.
May 3rd.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, a little late in the year here, you know.
A little late in the year.
Yeah.
It's gonna hurt for some recruiting. We'll talk about that in a second. But first, let's talk about what brought you here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I want to get into your background.
Okay.
But what specifically brought you here?
Absolutely.
On you applied in January and you started May 3rd. So.
Yes. So the school's going in. I have experience with that. You know, from formal coaching experience. I think it's a little better than the D3 model nowadays, being that it offers scholarships. Kids nowadays, they're working way too hard not to be rewarded for that. One of the best areas in the country for wrestling, Northwest Ohio, even Northern Ohio as a general. We have some of the top programs in the state here and in the country. Every year, we just had a young man who placed third at the Olympic trials who lives less than an hour away.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if Mr. Blaze wants to come be a Yellow Jacket, we'll make it work. But, I'm sure some bigger programs are a little ahead in that race, right? But we have a lot of talent there. We have some great coaches. And just the support. The wrestling in this area, and even, the casual fan is so much more knowledgeable than most places in the country. So it's a place that's rich in the history, that loves the sport, and, wants us to be great here. So I see a lot of potential for the program, and it made so much sense to kind of make the move to being a head coach, doing it in the state I love in Ohio, and help a program that has been kind of struggling recently, get on the path of being the potential it has to be.
As an outsider perspective, somebody that loves the sport of wrestling and been watching, the state of Ohio in particular.
Absolutely.
Defiance has kind of been off the radar.
Yeah.
And here we are now. And I've always kind of wondered, like, what's going on up there? Is are there good things happening? Are there bad things? Last season was suspended, right?
Yeah.
So the AD suspends the season last season.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thought that comes into your head as a fan is, oh man, are they going to kill this program?
Yeah.
But walking through the facilities and talking to you, this administration they're definitely committed to this.
Oh, they're all for it. We're adding women's wrestling. You don't go add another wrestling team if you don't love the sport, if you don't feel that it can be successful. We just hired an assistant coach. I will leave that announcement there'll be a post on our Instagram page about it. Get to the paperwork type stuff right now.
Mm-hmm.
But the administration knows we're going to be successful. They have no doubt. We had, for example, an alumni night last year. And the amount, like I've seen the pictures, the amount of people who showed up from, before they had the program cut, to even recent alum who graduated from here and maybe weren't around when we had wrestling. Well, they're here during their last couple, they're recently when they were about to graduate when we brought it back. Most of the local coaches somehow have a tie if they don't have family or if they weren't reaching graduates. The amount of emails I get recently, or daily, of nearby coaches and kids who are hey, what's going on with Defiance? How do I support? How do we populate the program with more of our guys? So the administration, the community, they want us to be great, and they want to support us. They want to be they want Yellow Jacket wrestling to be pretty good here.
Going from a suspended season,
Yeah.
and that's not really a fair term, suspended. It was halted, okay,
Yes.
to building a roster.
Yeah.
What's your roster look like now? And you're under the gun, being
Yeah.
behind in
Absolutely.
recruiting now to put a team together that's coming up for November.
Yeah. We're listed at one eligible guy right now.
Okay.
I think we had 7 guys on the roster last year. That's kind of dwindled. Some guys have transferred. We had a huge exodus of former athletes who transferred who didn't get along with the former coach.
Okay.
Right, I'll stay out of that. I was no way involved. And so really we're kind of rebranding Defiance Wrestling to, we're going to NI. We'll have a clear vision of what we want. We have a clear expectation of what we want for our athletes. One, we're going to be good at wrestling. That's going to happen. That's not going to be a negotiable. But, we're looking for guys who want to be great academically. We're going to have a lot of, I've already have planned. We're talking with local churches. We're going to do some community service to them. We're going to we have setups with our career services, with our student success coaches. They'll have meetings, a couple times a semester in terms of, what do you want to do for a career? All right, how do we get you there? What classes do we maybe need to take in the future? What do you need tutoring? Do we need to work on time management skills? So really, we're going to take from where we're at and put, stuff in place for a support system and look to add guys to that. So maybe going from like a roster of 1 to trying to get enough guys to go, do some open, maybe do a couple of duels, and then just keep adding from there. In 5-6 years from now, we're gonna look nothing like it is now, and I want to make sure we never have these types of issues again.
Yeah, that's the exciting part, right? So what might be a problem with
Yes.
one person on the roster, I see opportunity.
No, yeah,
Right?
absolutely.
If I'm a recruit, I'm looking at opportunity. And the second thing is you have a clean slate here.
Yes.
You mentioned already you're moving to NAIA from Division III. So the rules change.
They do.
They actually open up scholarships for you
Yes.
now, where technically D3 doesn't have scholarships, right?
Yeah.
But NAIA does.
Yeah.
And so now you're talking a different tune. You're still under the same roof and same academic standards, but now athletically you get to roll out scholarships. So that's going to be a good recruiting tool for you as well.
No, absolutely. So NIA is a little different in the terms that, in D3 through D1, you have 10 guys who are your starters. At NIA, we have 12. So how that works is it's your best 12 guys. And so when we go to our conference tournament, we go qualifying guys to nationals, when we're at that stage in the development, it's your best 12 go. So if I have 3 25-pounders who are top 5 in the country, those 3 are going. And so if I gotta, not have a 97 that year because maybe our guy isn't just up to that level, or just, or making that decision. But, if it's gonna be the best 10 guys, and then we're gonna be looking for extra 2, right? And kind of figure out what that is. So if I have 2 of the best, 65, 97 heavyweight in the country, those are guys going, And so, like for example, Grandview, they had 2 guys in the national finals at I think 184, 170. They had 2 guys in the national finals from the same team wrestling each other. So I mean, you won't see that at any other level.
Right.
But it's awesome.
Right.
Because there's almost less politics in the sense that if you're good and we have a guy who's just as good, you're going. Because a lot of times at D1 to D3, I mean, for example, if you're going to Iowa and you're a 25-pounder, last 6 years you're not going to Iowa because you're never going to get to see the map because Spencer Lee's there.
Right.
But if you had a guy who is on that level, or I don't think it's hard to be on that level, right? But if you're a national profile level guy,
going to Paris,
or an All-American level guy, like why would you go there? But like with us, I don't think we're getting Spencer Lee yet. We're not there that far. Maybe 7, 8. We'll try and get some of those guys.
Sure.
But you have to worry less about how many guys they have on the roster, how many at this weight. It's like we're going to get the best guys, and we're going to try and develop, and we're going to do everything we can. Dion had this quote when he was at Colorado: "It's my job is to replace every one of you every year," and that's the job of the coach. But at the same side is it's the athlete's job is to do all the little things, right? Do everything we're asking of you, so that we're not able to replace you. And that's the kind of the beauty of college athletics and the competitive side of it. So yeah, we have scholarships we can offer. We're a private school, so we can package our financial aid on our athletic with our academic, and we'll get pretty dang competitive with offers and what we can do in terms of stuff. And then of course, kids these days can always go, we can still do NIL money. They can still go and get their own scholarships. There's so many out there that most people don't even try to find. That there's millions of dollars out there. I'm not saying you're not going to get that much, but there's a couple thousand you can probably get yearly of just going out and doing the work in terms of finding scholarships on your own.
Yep.
So we go from basically a model that isn't incentivizing success in the D3 because one, they're going to be more academic based. One, I have super high academic standards for my athletes. But with that, we're going to reward you more for your athletic success.
Yep.
That compared to, I think, what it should be at the college level. I think the statistic now is the average parent is spending over $10,000 a year on their kid to go do sports at the high school level, whether it's tournaments, private, travel, hotels, right? So they want a scholarship at the end of the day. And if you're out doing that stuff, like one, I'm going to know it. My coaching staff's going to know it, and the people around you and your program are going to know it. And hey, I can't get this dude off the mat. That's a good sign. Maybe you're not beating the guy from town over yet. That's okay. We'll get you there. That's our job. And we're pretty dang good at taking where you're at and getting you better. And so doing the right things, that's the guys we're looking for, and we're going to reward them if we're doing that.
Let's talk about your background. So you have Cincinnati ties because you
Yes.
went to Western Brown in high school. Then you go off and you wrestle at Cleveland State.
Yeah.
So that's a Cleveland tie-in, right?
Yes, sir.
But you also wrestled under a pretty good regime up there.
Yeah.
And while you're on the mat wrestling, you're probably learning how to coach as well, right?
Yes. And so, so up there, wrestled a couple years up there under Josh Moore, who's still the head coach up there. Great guy. And, learned that guy's killer on top. You don't make the national finals at Penn State. I think he has some records at Penn State still. I need to look that up.
I think so.
I mean, you don't have records there if you don't know what you're doing.
Right.
Right? But, with that, that dude is killer on top of him. Or on top. So really learn how to ride and do that type of stuff the right way. It's like, holy crap, as college, the saying is they'll take your arm and beat you with it. And really kind of learn how to do that, in a good safe manner, right? Throwing that caveat for the parents out there.
Right.
And then, for whatever reason, started coaching at Brexville, didn't finish my career at Cleveland State, was a nursing major at the time, and, I was like, this one will do the rest of my life. And Havertz was like, hey, come coach. I was like, all right. I had some ties with him to the national teams. I was on the Brexville AAU team. So we just had ties in the area. I was working with the Vanadias already.
Okay.
Ben, who's at Purdue.
Yep.
And then Max and Luke, who's up at Michigan State now.
Okay.
Of course, they were the twins were in junior high, and Ben had just finished his freshman year.
Okay.
Right. So I was still growing up, working out with them and doing that type of stuff. So started coaching, so it was an easy transition. I actually looked at transferring. I actually took a visit here at Defiance when Coach Guerrero was here. So, was trying to figure out the next step in my life. And at that point, I was like, man, I love this coaching. I need to figure out how to do it. So I actually switched my majors. So got my bachelor's in health science, was coaching. I was like, all right, well, I'm not getting, I need probably find a way to coach college if I want to do this.
Yep.
So Rio Grande had a graduate assistant job open.
Okay. So,
I mentioned Coach Schweer, and I was like, hey, here's my resume. This is what I've done. He's like, you sure? I'm like, yeah, dude. He's like, all right, come on. He's like, it's a little different than the city. You can walk out of Rio's room and you can see some cows. Right? So a little closer to Rio Grande.
Yep.
Or Western Brown.
Yep.
But, I hated leaving Cleveland. I love the area. If I could have lived there the rest of my life, I probably would have.
Yeah.
But, I had a passion. I wanted to chase it. So got down there and, been interviewing for or applying for every coaching opening in the country. Since as you do, right? That's kind of how you do it. And Schweer's like, I had 20 or 30 interviews before someone gave me a chance. And, he had went and got an assistant job. So, he kind of went a similar journey. Yep. And even, he graduated, worked at, I think like Wells Fargo or something for a year or two. I was like, dude, I want to coach. So, a lot of it ends up like that. And so it's funny. And I kind of told Adam, I'm like, hey, I'm leaving to Rio. He's like, what the hell is that?
Right.
And Trey's like, okay. So, he's like, are you sure? I'm like, yeah, I think so. And so, went and did that. My dad was like, what the heck are you doing? He's like, well, I'm going to do this. He's like, all right. So, went and did it. And then, of course, Defiance opportunity came up, and, my vision for what I think the program could be, it matched a lot. So, wrestled at the D2 level, a couple times placed in high school, wrestled Rocky Jordan in both my district finals. Okay. Wrestled up at Division I and more. At the very elite high school level at Brexville and Havertz. I mean, we were top 50 in the country almost every year we were there.
Absolutely.
I think 3 years in a row to the finals of the state D1 state dual finals. Of course, losing Eds every time. Right? Yeah. I mean, we had some battles with Wadsworth, right? So, I mean, just a lot of great wrestling, and then went to the college level and really got to perfect a lot of, or keep perfecting mastering my craft in terms of running practice, running lifting, and really I view it as like an internship for what I'm doing now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, getting there and got my master's degree, and I did like a year and a half because I like doubled up, and I was like, I need to be ready for this hiring cycle to be ready to go find a job, and you know, super grateful. Is, you know, the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this isn't a job you do if you're in it for the fame and the glory and the money and all that stuff. You do it because you love the sport and you want to help people be successful.
Right.
Absolutely.
So the tie-in with Rio, also they're also in AI.
Yes.
So that's it's a sweet coincidence that you're moving to NAIA,
Yes.
and then you also have some ties up with Lords. It's not too far away from here.
Yeah.
So all of that brings it into a nice little package here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know? And I've joked this through a few times. I'm like, man, we're gonna, you know, my goal is to come kick you guys' butts in a few years. You know, once we're ready. You know, because there's 3 in IA. Because Lords, I actually visited in high school, and when I was looking at transfer, I almost went there. And you know, I know their coaching staff pretty well. So we joined Lords as the Lords and Rio as the 3rd NIA school in Ohio, which, you know, Ohio, you know, top 3 state in the country for wrestling. So I mean, being able to populate the team with a lot of Ohio guys. When we battle in those two in terms of looking for guys. There's, I think, no D2s in Ohio now that Notre Dame left. Oh, there's Lake Erie.
Yeah.
Lake Erie, right?
Yep.
So we have the 4 D1 teams that can offer scholarships.
Yep.
The 1 D2 team, and now the 3 NIA teams.
Yep.
So 8 teams in Ohio that can offer wrestling scholarships. That's pretty elite company to be in when you look at it in that sense.
Absolutely.
And for guys who, you know, maybe they want to wrestle at the college level. I mean, maybe it's not affordable to look at college, or maybe they're just not getting attention. You know, the biggest thing is, like, we use sites like NCSA. We use a lot of media sites in terms of finding guys, you know, but a lot of people, and even some of the best recruits I've gotten is, you know, they've reached out to our, you know, social medias. They've hit us up, or in that term, they come up and talk to us. It's like, are you serious? Why is no one talking to this guy? You know, and they're, you know, whether even if they're not on the mat success, they're just great people. And I'd rather have a team full of that, and I can teach, you know, a couple good moves too. So, if you're a high school guy and you want to wrestle at the college level, reach out, send something to the Instagram, send something to the Twitter, send something. You know, my info's pretty easy to find.
That's sage advice, because in my experience with my boys who were both solid wrestlers, right?
Yeah.
Division I, Ohio, out of Central Ohio, both state qualifiers, state placers. So you always think that the coaches are watching you. Oh, he's good enough. Someone's going to come up and say something. And there were a few here and there, right? But really, it's more on the wrestler and the wrestler's parents to reach out, because you're busy. You're trying to build a program, and this guy might not even be on your radar, and he might be the next, you know, All-American national champ to be at Defiance. So reach out. I mean, that's sage advice. Don't underestimate what you can do as a wrestler to network. Now, that being said, you've also talked about networking that you have to do.
Yes.
You're going to have to get out there and hit it hard.
I mean, that's all I do all day is. I mean, I will email coaches, hey, you know, and I'll be like, you know, I have to figure out, like, hey, I was at Brexville this time, and, you know, it's like, oh, yeah, hey, do you have any, like, guys who maybe aren't getting recruited yet, or guys who aren't committed, or, you know, right now I'm like, do you have any uncommitted seniors? You know, do you have anyone in, you know, junior class? Like, I can use sites like Burrowfan to go find them. I can look at results. But it's hard to tell because there's not, like, we're not like basketball or football where there's huge, like, tracking sites with that. You know, as much credit to Burrowfan as possible. He does great for the state. But, I mean, how the heck do you know where someone's going, or if they're wanting to wrestle in college or doing what? So most of my stuff is emailing, messaging coaches, hey, do you have anyone who's committed? You know, anyone I should be looking at? And, you know, a lot of times they're like, you know, these coaches, you know, like, oh, yeah, this guy. And, you know, and then they have a guy who's, you know, maybe he wasn't a state qualifier, or maybe he's not. Like, I don't care about the results. If they're a good person, let me know. Of course, if they're a state champ, I want them too, right?
Sure.
So a lot of it is like, you have these people who are in the sport and they know, and, you know, they have their own personal biases, or just whatever it is, and they're like, hey, let me talk to him. Let me see what we got. You know, don't gatekeep the information in that sense at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I can't, and again, I can't stress enough. Opportunity.
Absolutely.
This is an incredible opportunity for that
Absolutely.
wrestler that just wants to keep wrestling and
Yeah.
loves the sport.
Yeah.
That's music to your ears. You
Mhm.
want somebody that wants that, and that wrestler's like, well, maybe they're, maybe they haven't even gone to
Mhm.
be a state qualifier, or they're
Yeah.
not placing there.
Yeah.
But they want to just keep wrestling. They love the sport. This is an incredible opportunity for them.
I mean, I'll give flowers where flowers are due. Bruce Wager's down at Ryer Brand. You know, he's going into a junior there. I mean, he's now a 2-time national qualifier. He never qualified for the state tournament in high school, but the guy loves the sport. He's a good dude. I met him. You know, I'm looking at the roster. I was like, why do they love this guy so much? You know, and I met him, and we butted heads a little bit. Great guy, love him to death. Now I'm like, holy crap, this dude loves the sport. I can't get him off the mat. You know, and that's like, at the end of the day, talent will only take you so far. Oh my gosh, who is it? Askren.
Okay.
He had an interview with him, or not Bruce, but they had an interview of Askren talking.
Okay.
And he's like, man, it's not talent. I was just obsessed. He's like, I got beat most of my career, losing record most,
Yeah.
He's like, I wasn't that good.
Yeah, Ben Askren doesn't believe in talent.
Right? And
Yeah.
he's like, I'm just obsessed.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, I shared something to my Instagram probably about a month ago. And I'm like, obsession beats talent most of the time. You know, I hate giving Kevin Durant the quote. I think someone else said it before him, talent, all that stuff. But guys who are just obsessed with the sport and love it.
Yeah.
Like, I could go so much further with them.
Yep.
Because someone who's talented, at the end of the day, there's going to be a burnout of it. There's going to be, coach, we're in January. I need the rest. Guys who are obsessed, hey, how do I fix this on my single? And sometimes if I got to pull them off a little bit, hey man, we need the rest a little bit. Or I'd much rather have to have that fight. And then, dude, I need you in the off season. Guys to get a little tired, they don't want to go and do some extra stuff. If I have to fight to get you on the mat, what are we doing?
Right.
If I have to hey, we need to calm down a little bit. We need to change gears, or we need to, or focus on the training cycle that way. I'd much rather have that fight.
Of course.
So guys who are obsessed, that's the big thing we're looking for. Absolutely.
Let's talk about facilities. I got to tell you, man, I like what I see upstairs.
Yeah.
It's small, it's intimate, it's fine. But then you have the ability to maybe expand. Obviously, you've already talked about the commitment that you're getting from the athletic department and the the president and whatnot. But the possibility to maybe expand.
Yeah.
But what I also like about what I see as far as your facility goes, it's intimate, meaning you have good control and your guys are going to become a team quickly.
Right, and we have top tier locker room. We have a great weight room. We have, the building which we're in is pretty nice. What we got, we have space. Our room is a little over one mat, but man, it's not like almost any room I've ever walked into.
Right.
And that area is just us. And I think once you have the dedicated space, once you go in there, you understand this is what we're working on. You have this shared goal. Most teams and cultures struggle to try and find that team identity, that team goal, because a lot of times they share a space, or maybe it's just whatever it is. You have people who's not in your sport walking through it or doing all that type of stuff. It's it's only us up there, and it's awesome. It's this is where we go. This is the lab in the sense of going. I have to find a name for Yellow Jackets. I don't want to do the nest. That's a little cliche, but something of that sense. But once we get out there, it's just us, and we know what we're doing. We know our goal. We know our mission, and it's pretty cool in that sense. And so, I'm going to keep battling, and improve stuff and, make good, great, excellent, right? But we have awesome facilities in terms of what we have, in terms of what we have to offer.
Yep. Let's talk about academia here, right?
Yeah.
So what is the student athlete going to receive here at Defiance? What do you have to offer?
Yeah, so we're a private school. We offer a lot of majors. The only one our student athletes can't do is nursing. Is because we have a partnership with that, with the local college. So they're here 1 year, they're there for 2, and then they're back here a third year. Okay. So at Division III, we could have made it work. We could, but with NII, we can't, since it's 2 different institutions. So that's the only thing. And a lot of times, as someone who was a nursing student myself, you're going to have to pick one or the other anyways a lot of times.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as unfortunate as that is. But I mean, we have a lot of partnerships and stuff like that. Like our engineering's a pretty good program, and we have a partnership actually with North Dakota State,
Okay.
which I think one of the summers they get to go out there and do a internship with them,
Huh.
and really set themselves up to be successful. But we have a lot of the majors that most people want in terms of stuff. Business school's pretty good. We have good education. We have criminal justice. We have a lot of the stuff that guys are interested in. We have a pretty cool science department and all this stuff. We have like a greenhouse on campus. We have a lot of stuff to offer with that. Our current numbers, I think we're about 700 to 750 students.
Okay.
So we're pretty small in the sense that you're not going to have 50 people in a class.
Right.
But, if something so say you miss a class a couple weeks in a row, we actually get notified of, hey, something's happening.
Mm-hmm.
And so they'll put a care report in, and that will kind of notify everyone, hey, something might be happening with this guy. Let's go and check out it on him. And a lot of times I know at CSU there'd be something happened to one of my friends, and nothing besides the coaches, no one would know for however long, and so with that, if something's up, or someone notices you acting different, because they're going to know you. The professor's going to know your name. They're going to talk to you.
Yep.
And so we're going to put. There's a lot of support and care system in terms of and that's a big thing with parents is once you send your kid off, who's going to take care of my kid? They're on their own for the first time. If it's thankfully we're in an era and an age where mental health is becoming so much more important.
Right.
Is if something's going on, crisis, whatever it is, there's people here who care and they want to help you. I can do a care thing on somebody within 2 minutes, and we're going to have maybe counselors lined up. We're going to have maybe we're going to help them. Maybe if they miss a class, maybe we're going to help them. Get back, or learn what they missed. They're going to have tutor, everything they need is going to be there, because we care about the success of our students, and because the thing is we're low on student number, so we can be more intimate in that sense, and that's super cool. And that if you come to Defiance to wrestle or even just be a student, you have to almost choose to fail, because that's almost what it should be, right? If you're not going to miss a class or miss a couple classes in a row, and someone's going to be like, oh, well, too bad. They're like, what's this guy at? We got to go knock on the dorm room, hey, everything good?
Yeah.
We got to, send you emails, we got to phone calls, we got to find, we'll do that. And it's not in the sense that we want to invade your privacy, but it's what can we do to help?
Right.
How can we put you in a position to be successful?
You're not just a number.
No, absolutely. And that's a big thing for us. And it's a big thing for me as well. And if wrestling is, it's what I'm doing for a living, but I understand it's just a byproduct to help, the young men and women, once we had women's wrestling here coming up, to be successful for the rest of their lives. They're going to get a good degree, whether it's their associate, bachelor, master's, whatever that looks like for them in their journey. But the alumni are going to be successful, and even if they get here and they do everything we ask and we're not the fit for them, we'll help with that too, And so I understand. I know what it looks like for everyone. It's going to be different, but I think we have a great product here in terms of what we can do. And of course, every coach is going to say that, but I truly believe it, and I have no doubt about it.
Yeah. Is it fair to say that Defiance, Ohio, has a sleeping giant?
Dude, I think we're going to be super successful, and I 10 years from now, if we're one of the top, programs in the country for now, I wouldn't be surprised. I think we're going to have a great coaching staff. Again, the assistant is kind of a question mark. We're going to be bringing that out.
Yeah.
Once we're ready. We're getting
full-time assistant coming soon. Yeah.
Absolutely. Great guy. He knows the sport really well, and we're doing all the right things. I'm putting my application in now to be on the Fargo staff. I'll be going out there. Working on getting a freestyle qualifier here, working on next year, and in the year's future, and doing a lot of stuff like that. We'll be doing our camp system. I know one thing I want to do is I want to take myself my assistants and athletes to like local clubs and give clinics, teach course at no charge, and just help take how great the area is and just make it better, and give more and more opportunity for these young athletes in the area to just be successful.
Yeah, I mentioned you kind of have all four corners of the state.
Right.
We haven't talked about Central Ohio where
Absolutely.
I'm from.
Yeah.
But in your backyard, if you keep some of these guys that home, that you have some pretty awesome high school programs in your backyard, really.
Right. I mean, some of the ones within 15 minutes to half hour to an hour. Delta, Perrysburg, Wauseon, Wapakoneta. Oh my gosh, Archbold. And there's just so many. It's hard. I'm struggling to keep count of how many of them, and I'm still learning the geographics of it. I mean, Toledo's, within an hour of us.
Right.
Lima is within 45. Columbus is only 2 hours. Right.
Yep.
So I mean, there's just so much in this area, and it's fantastic. And so I'm nothing but excited. And if we can keep half a dozen of these guys and really make this a destination like it should be for a lot of these athletes to come and compete to. I mean, at the end of the day, there's not much of a difference between being successful at the NIL level and any other. It's just a lot of people don't have the knowledge about it and what it's about. I mean, my roommate, Riley Smucker, he was a national qualifier up at Cleveland State.
Yep.
He went down to Life. He was an NIL, they're top 5 team in the country.
Yep.
Ended up being a 2-time All-American down there. But, you're like, well, a D1 qualifier would, is probably winning D3. They're probably winning whatever, right? But he was a 2-time All-American. And those dudes who are just as good or, qualifier All-American champ levels at these levels.
Yep.
So, and then the day you're also, like, he was, I talked with him and, he was all sad because, his goal would be national champ at the end of the day. I'm like, dude, you're a 3-time national qualifier, 2-time All-American. Mm-hmm. Like, that's pretty dang impressive.
Right.
Like, there's not too many people who can say that.
Right.
And so, looking at it is we have dudes who are, state champs who might not make it the nationals ever. And you're like, that's wild when you look at it.
Yeah.
And so,
yeah,
it's a different beast when you come to the level. And, it takes a lot of work to be successful. But, we have everything, all the tools needed for that, all the resources. Absolutely.
All right, Coach. What else do you have? Listen, thanks for having me up here. I know it's been a while, but the timing just seems perfect right now, right? So what else do you have for us here?
Man, I'm excited. Yellow Jacket Wrestling is on the rise, and we're going to be successful. If you're a high school guy or even you're a college guy looking to transfer, reach out. Let's make it work. I'm on Instagram, on Twitter. I'm on email, jhenderson@Defiance. I'm sure I'll be tagged in this post. I reach out pretty quickly. Or if you just want to know more, if you're a fan, reach out. I'm pretty good about getting back. All I'm doing all day is reaching back to emails, reaching back to messages, and just trying to find future wrestlers, guys to join our roster, or even people who want to be supportive. I'm not you don't have to send a donation, but if you're just talking with us and maybe coming to some matches or maybe sharing all of our stuff on social media, that's good enough for me.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Nice.
I appreciate it.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Yeah.